Wait, keep moving. My list is done. So if you guys
Oh,
have anything else,
I have a
Well,
few.
unlike,
There's a few games they showed in Treehouse that I'd like to
yeah,
mention.
that's the thing.
yeah.
Treehouse.
Stall, folks.
Let me just say,
Keep.
can I say something just before this?
Yes, yes, yes.
It's nothing big. Just again, kind of a reminder for the viewers. This was pretty much the end of the what was
Show.
identified as the press conference because
Yep.
they had a lot more to show in all of the Treehouse streams and all of the other media briefings and announcements they had later on in the next 2 days. But there were some announcements, and they definitely are worth highlighting. So that's what we're going to do now, really quick. So go ahead, Tommy.
Okay.
All right. First comment about I'll just name a few of the games that they showed off in Treehouse. Fantasy Life. I think it's a. I don't know if it's a Wii. I think it's a 3DS game, and it's this this RPG. I don't remember too much about it. It looked like there's a lot of character interaction. You could take on different little jobs, kind of like Final Fantasy almost. I don't know.
Wait,
I didn't watch
is
too
it
much
for
of it.
Wii U?
That's not
3DS.
I think it's 3DS.
Oh, are you talking about Codename Steam? Because that's a strategy.
No. That's something else.
Fantasy
okay.
Life. It's a 3DS game. It's a role-playing game. It's the same guys who worked with Professor Layton.
Oh, level 5?
Right, level 5. So that's all I really know about it, though. I didn't really pay too much attention. I just saw the name of the game. They're doing an English localization of Professor Layton Cross Phoenix Wright, finally.
Oh, yes.
So that's coming to the States. They also have Mario Party 10. They showed a little bit of it. They also have a trailer online. And that's basically it's like Mario Party 9, but apparently there's Bowser Party mode, which is one person plays as Bowser, the other 4 play against him in mini games. And I think there's also a mode where you can play as individuals like in the old Mario Party games.
I did hear that, yes.
So it's not just one cart like Mario Party 9, thank God.
Yeah.
There's also Monster Hunter 4, and I think those are the big games that they showed off in Treehouse that we didn't see in the mainstream, the press conference. But one thing I did want to say about the structure of what Nintendo did at E3, I think one thing they did really well with is they at least used that big press conference time that everyone knew about to showcase some marquee titles that were coming up, and then they used the Treehouse for the whole weekend to highlight indie games and other games that were upcoming. In contrast to Sony and Microsoft, who basically did their executive suite press conference every year, 1.5 to 2 hours, and then it was a bunch of interviews with developers. There wasn't a lot of live demonstrations of games. It was just a bunch of people talking for the most part with Sony and Microsoft. So I think Nintendo really did a good job in that respect, but they only had an hour, really, for their press conference. And there were a couple of games I'm like, that's not really something I would talk about when you have the attention of pretty much everybody that watched the other press conferences. Like, I wouldn't have talked about Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I wouldn't have talked about Rainbow Curse. Even though it's a new Kirby game, it's a sequel to a game we already know about. I wouldn't have talked about Mario Maker in that press conference either, because that doesn't seem like a very crucial title to be announcing. I would have even talked about Mario Party 10 over that game, because that's
it had like a new feature and
right. It's a they've been trying to push this gamepad, and because it's an integral, according to Reggie Fils-Aimé, it's an integral part of the Wii U system. So what better way to emphasize that than to talk about a game where it's important to the multiplayer?
Yeah.
So that's all I got so far.
Yeah. The one thing I will say in addition to that is, like, I agree. I like what they were going for and how they, presented, they had their conference, and then they had like more demonstrations later on. I think that's what should have been done for all the systems. The thing I didn't like, and you kind of got into this a little bit, how there were some games that probably didn't need to be in the actual conference, and there were also some games that were shown after the conference that weren't even highlighted in the conference, like at all, like the Project Giant Robot and some in Mario Party 10 and all of that, which I did not like that at all. If I were them, I'd be trying to mention as many things. And they didn't even use their full hour. They ended at the 40-minute mark. And
wow.
That's kind of because they had 20 minutes to at least mention or like show even just a trailer or something. I know we criticized a lot of the companies for just showing trailers, but what Nintendo had that the others didn't is that they had these demonstrations still on the Treehouse, and they should have utilized that.
Mm-hmm. They had plenty of gameplay.
Yeah, so in one retrospect, I want to really give Nintendo an A for what they did, but in another retrospect, I want to give them kind of a C because it's just like they did so many things right, but then they just made these really, really huge goofs on a lot of other things.
Yep. And it's funny because they had that day. There was a gap of time on Monday, which I think normally would have been reserved for Nintendo. But they took a different approach than the other companies, a bold approach, and like you said, in parts it worked, in parts it didn't. But they had a full day where the attention of everybody could be focused on them, and especially in that 1 hour, 1.5 hour time gap. And
the thing is, they did have that entire day Tuesday. There was like everyone who I talked to was at the Treehouse that day. So I mean, they still got that day. It's just that I don't think they utilized it completely, at least in terms of the 40-minute that should have been an hour conference. Like, in that conference, I would rate them very, very low. But in the actual like content they showed in the Treehouse and all of that, I would rank them very, very high because that is what I think all of the conferences should be doing, especially if they are going to go with this trailer approach.
Yeah. And they did give a lot of attention to independent developers too, especially on Wednesday. There were tons of games. Like one of them was, I think, Shovel Knight.
That's right.
It's a 3DS game, and it does an excellent job with the background. It utilizes the parallax audios. What is it? What is it called? The double background that the 3DS uses, the technology, the auto stereoscopic vision or whatever.
Right.
So they can actually have layered backgrounds. So as you're moving, it kind of looks like you're moving along with the background. I don't know how to phrase it. It looks cool. Yeah. It just looks cool.
Yeah. But I mean, aside from that, other notable things I have written down here. Star Fox
Oh my God, yes.
was mentioned. I don't think they really showed anything, but they did let us know that they were working on it, and it is in development. And I think it was even, like, you could kind of even see it in the background of a small Miyamoto segment.
Yeah, I have a comment about that. I did discover something during the Treehouse segment with Miyamoto. They did a demonstration of Project Giant Robot and a demonstration of Project Guard. And I know I'm not the only one that saw this, but I think I'm the first one that put images on Twitter of it. I like to think so. But during Project Guard, when they had the game where you had to set up the security cameras and defend the base from all the robots coming in, the tops of every single camera had the Great Fox logo on the top. And Miyamoto mentions, after he's asked about Star Fox, it's in full development, and development's progressing nice, and it's going to be out within a year. I have a very strong feeling that Giant Robot and Guard are in some way related to the content that's going to appear in Star Fox Wii U. So, food for thought.
That is, yep, I watched the same thing as you did, and I think it's a very interesting way of going about it. And did you guys also know that Miyamoto also said in an interview that he wanted this new Star Fox to be more like a TV series rather than a movie?
Right. basically, I think they're kind of taking the approach that Telltale is doing with some of their games, kind of having the episodic production. And honestly, I really love those games. The Walking Dead Telltale series has been amazing, and want to see what they do with Star Fox. I hope they still keep the gameplay, obviously.
Yeah.
It could work. Price point could be a concern, but
Yes.
that approach has worked with a lot of other huge games and game genres. So I'll give it a shot. I'll see what they have to bring out.
Right. The important thing is that they keep the gameplay sharp. They use good voice actors, because let's be honest here, Star Fox without voice acting is not Star Fox. Not to me, anyway. You gotta have constant chatter between the wingmen and the bad guys.
I guess that explains our lack of positive things to say about Command, since it went back to the old Lyladian garbled nonsense.
Right. I did not appreciate that. Star Fox has to have chatter. You gotta have chatter boxes. And also, the episodes have to connect in one big juicy storyline. There's gotta be. They gotta do it right. Just because it's episodic doesn't mean they need to go lazy. There are great TV series out there with great writing. So Nintendo better not skimp just because they said it's a TV series, not a movie.
It's not My Little Pony. It's Star Fox.
Yeah. The silver screen matters, people, so you gotta have good production quality there too.
Yep.
Thoughts, Kitty?
Nope. No thoughts. Further.
No?
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. There was actually something in the main conference that I think we all can talk about that we kind of just glanced over briefly because it was in the Smash Bros. Section, but it's not just related to Smash Bros., but the whole Amiibo thing. I mean, it's not just a Smash Bros. Thing.
Let's talk about it.
Nintendo is introducing these little figurines that you interact with on the Wii U gamepad, and they become characters that in your actual games that you can grow and advance over time. Really cool to see what kind of figurines they'll have for all of the different Nintendo characters, in Smash at the very least. This is something in the very casual play of Smash. It's not something you'll be able to do in competitive mode, I'm sure. But you can essentially bring your Amiibo fighters into the ring. They're controlled by a computer AI, and the more you actually interact with your Amiibo to the games you're playing, the stronger they get. So the stronger your AI will be and stuff like that. Really interested to see how they'll do. I'm sure I'll get one when they start bringing those figures out, and I'll like to see what happens. Other games that will use this are Mario Kart 8, Mario Party 10, and there were a few others that I don't have with me in my brain at the moment, but it's definitely interesting. I'd like to hear what you guys' thoughts are.
I do have some thoughts.
You go first.
All right. Actually, I need to say something really quick that's sort of unrelated, but it's going to be an important segue to my point about Amiibo. I saw a tweet from My Nintendo News today. The Splatoon team that's developing that game consists of the core Animal Crossing team. Believe it or not.
Oh, really?
And I think it's funny that Nima mentioned, that these developers this is new blood in Nintendo, but these are the same guys that also work on Animal Crossing. That's why we're not seeing an Animal Crossing Wii U game right now.
Well then, call me dumb. See, I don't play Animal Crossing, so I wouldn't know who develops those games. But that's still relatively young compared to the old guys like Miyamoto and Tezuka and all those other veterans who've worked on Mario, Zelda, Metroid, and whatnot. They're still fresh compared to them.
So I think Splatoon definitely has promise now that we know this information. These aren't just greenhorns. These are people who know what they're doing. But I think a really cool application for Amiibo would be with a potential Animal Crossing Wii U release. You could. I'm not familiar enough with Animal Crossing to know what kind of specific applications you could do with that. But you could maybe import your character and characteristics about that character and the world you're coming from onto that Amiibo, and then somehow bring it to someone else's. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so my thoughts on Amiibo. It's a very, very interesting idea. However, what's the end game looking like? Like, I'm not sure how long this will last. You know, like, will this be a lasting part of the Wii U brand, or will it just be a fad? Like, I know Skylanders is successful, but how long can they keep up? Like, it's not that old. And Amiibo, I guess it's one of those things where I can never really be too sure what to think about until I actually try it, because there are so many unanswered questions, and it's just a really, it's really odd to me. I've never experienced anything quite like it. Like, I never tried Skylanders either, for the record. So yeah, this whole like figurines mixed with video games thing, it's brand new to me.
Okay. Kitteh, what about you? Because Amiibo was discussed at the main conference.
I felt kind of, well, I guess I kind of made a bit fun of Nintendo because it's like, oh look, they're copying Skylanders, yay. I dig Skylanders. And I know I have a feeling I know why it works, but it's like I don't know why they need to do this whole figurine thing now. It's just, I mean, Skylanders is pretty much a game that bases on it, so it was like that from the get-go. And this whole like Smash Bros and stuff now, this just kind of like, this is not how it was. Why are you adding it now? So I feel like it's useless, really. Like, it doesn't really add much. And it's not even original either because, well, Skylanders has done it or is doing it. So I don't know. I don't appreciate it, basically. Not really.
Yeah, I did kind of make fun of it too, and I called it Skylanders Infinity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because there's going to be more than just Skylanders characters. There's Nintendo everything now.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely something that I'm not going to praise until I see the implementation of it.
Right.
We've definitely seen the very, very, very bare bones of what this is going to be. And hell, even then, I mean, Skylanders, at least you can actually play with the characters you have, and you know, with the Skylanders swap force, you can even like custom combine them as well. So you know, this has a lot of work to become something truly amazing. And from now, it is just like a very, again, bare bones copy of Skylanders stuff. But you know, we just have to see that implementation right now.
That's all that matters, really. That will make or break Amiibo.
I feel like this should just drop it. It's been done before. It's like, why are you copying it? And not even in a good way. So it's like, if they would have added something on top of it, I would have been like, oh cool. But it's literally, it's a worse, like a version 1 of Skylanders because there's no swapping or anything extra. So I don't know.
Well, it's definitely a very fair assessment. I mean,
well, it's just kind of weird. It's like people have given Microsoft and Sony and everybody shit for, oh, you copied Nintendo with this whole, you know, motion sensor and, you know, Wii Fit and stuff, and now like nobody says anything now, even though Nintendo's kind of, you know, copying.
Well, I mean, there's people like that on every single side, regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people who make fun of Nintendo for this and that. There's people from Nintendo who make fun of Sony. I'm sure there's even people from Sony who make fun of Microsoft. I mean, that's just the way it is. There's people on all sides of the spectrum that are going to give that crap. I mean, there were so many comments, like hell, even last year. I like the Microsoft conference the best last year, and people gave me hell for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Slim, what kind of
gave
crap
me-
is that?
And yeah, like Tommy right here, that stupid jerk. Anyway, and there were people who gave me crap for thinking Sony was the worst. So it's like, that's not something that's exclusively on Nintendo. I mean, these are just, pardon my French here, but just really asshole troll gamers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here, let me give you something controversial. The press out of the big three press conferences. I'm not counting EA and Ubisoft because I think they do crap every year. Their press conferences. But out of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, if you just look at that 1 to 2 hour gap of time where they had their press conference, I think Microsoft paced themselves better than the other two, and they had a much better, as far as presentation, they had a much better press conference than the other two. That said, I think Nintendo did a lot better showing off gameplay because they actually showed games.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my side.
Well, here's what I have to say. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And it happens all the time in video games on all sides. Doesn't matter what console or developer you are, everybody is inspired by everybody. And some even go so far as to directly copy concepts. Look at the first-person shooter genre, for example.
Yeah.
Don't even get us started there.
Hitting that nail on the head.
Your topic is in another podcast.
And look at RPGs. Look at JRPGs. Look at Western RPGs. Look at sports games. Oh my goodness.
Pretty much.
Alright.
Well, they like I said before, they showed easily up to 10 hours at least worth of content if you count all the Treehouse stuff. I think that pretty much covered it though for Nintendo in terms of everything. So I think we can probably get to overall thoughts, which I think me and Tommy kind of already did. Just to reiterate my points, I guess. I know I said the other day that I think Ubisoft was the most mixed on. After thinking about it, I think it's actually Nintendo because there's a lot of stuff I really like, a lot of stuff I'm really excited about, and for the most part, I think they did what I think all of the companies should be doing. Although I think it is kind of problematic that they kind of struggled with, they didn't quite do it optimally the way I think they should have done it. There were some games that were shown in Treehouse, but not the conference, where they probably should have at least mentioned it first. So, it's like I said earlier, I think they got an A for the idea, but a C in execution. Round it all up, I'd say about a B grade. I did like it. I don't even know if I can really even say it was my favorite. I just feel like everybody did good. I don't feel like anyone did exceptional, but they all did good, and I came out of every single conference excited about one game or another. And, I may be more excited for games coming from Nintendo's corner, but, would I say they did it the best? Probably not, but that's just me.
Okay.
All right.
Alright. For Nintendo, my overall thoughts. Congratulations, Nintendo. I'm gonna buy a Wii U mainly because of Smash Brothers. You got my vote. You got my money. With that being said, I think Nintendo is taking some steps in the right direction in certain regards. Like, for example, they're bringing in more Japanese games that hardcore gamers eat up, like Bayonetta 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles X. But they need to do more of that. They're also giving us interesting takes on existing big-name franchises like Hyrule Warriors and Yoshi's Woolly World, but they need to go a step farther than that. This is a reoccurring theme with Nintendo. They take good steps, but they often don't go all in when they should.
Mm-hmm.
And they could use some more new IPs too, like Splatoon is the only new IP? Really? Well, it isn't the only one, but it's the big one.
I agree. They're really, really good at taking huge steps forward. Not so good at going all the way. Hopefully they can finally get that under their belt. If not, I will continue to be disappointed, but, I still like their stuff, so.
I still like their stuff too, so that's why I'm buying the Wii U. But
they
if they want to
really
win
should.
the gaming war, they need to take more steps.
They have to. They really, really have to. Okay.
Tommy?
All right. I spoke, obviously this podcast, I said a lot more than the prior ones because I'm obviously firmly in the Nintendo camp as far as games. I have owned a PlayStation 2 before. I still have my 360, so I'm not a virgin to the other guys. But I remember before Nintendo had all their stuff for E3 saying, if they tell me Star Fox is coming to Wii U, they win in my book. And unfortunately, Twitter and Time Magazine blog spoiled the surprise and said that Star Fox Wii U was a thing. But still, with that said, Nintendo won it for me just because I know Star Fox is coming. And that was the one game I was hoping for to encourage me to buy a Wii U console, and they delivered on that. So I will be getting a Wii U at some point. But the thing that really hooked me for good was Splatoon. And obviously you heard my excitement about Splatoon, how detailed I got into all the things that they could do with it. As far as their overall presentation, man, I think what they should do next time is, if they're going to only spend an hour, even less than that, talking about games, don't talk about things that have already been announced that aren't as marquee as other games. Focus on the big games. Put in some smaller games if you must, if you're really excited about them, and then do the Treehouse thing like you normally do. But then feature some games. Talk about games at specific times, like announce like you're gonna show a Mario Party 10 demonstration at this time. Oh, but we have all these other indie titles. List them all. Just get as much information out there as you can and let people just eat it up rather than doing this sloppy, we're going to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles and now we're going to talk about Mario Maker. Like, getting me excited for Xenoblade, and then we're talking about building levels with a software that I can get for free online.
Indeed.
Like, come on. I do think Nintendo definitely just blew the other companies away as far as overall, because they had a lot more gameplay to show. That's one thing they excelled in that the others couldn't quite match up to. Sony and Microsoft was basically trailers. Like, great, they look good, but do they play good? And even Nintendo even drove that point in when they were talking about Woolly World. It's like they specifically said, the way we do things is we focus on the gameplay first, and then we build everything else around that.
Yes, I remember that quote.
And I was like, dang, they weren't directly saying this to the other two, but that was a major diss to Sony and Microsoft.
Shots
because
fired.
They may be all about the entertainment as far as like looking good, but we're all about the entertainment as far as making good games. But we need to see those good games, Nintendo. We need to not just hear the talk, we need to actually see it in action.
Okay.
Alright.
Kitteh.
Oh boy, here comes the hate comments. I've had a beef with Nintendo since forever now. Here's the reason why. When I watched Nintendo conference, it wasn't really exciting. It wasn't like, yay, let's see what Nintendo's to offer. It was just a friggin' thing on my to-do list. Why? Because if we look at this list of games they presented, not including Treehouse, because this was technically supposed to be a conference, they had one game I kind of digged, which was Yoshi. Another game that looked neat, but they didn't really say a lot, which was Zelda. And one game franchise that I really liked, but it started out on another console, being Bayonetta 2, which I was like, just put it on computer, or I want it on computer, or I would like it on computer. Other than that, not impressed. The problem with Nintendo with me has been that the last time I've actually been impressed or excited about something they've done was when they brought out the Wii Fit or the Wii Balance Board, that kind of stuff. That was something I was like, wow, this is something new. This is cool. This is awesome. I can get behind this. This is super awesome. Other than that, cool, the 3DS. I've gotten the 3DS. They brought out Harvest Moon in the beginning, the new Animal Crossing, the new Pokemon, but it was just, the problem is, it was exciting to play those games at first, but they got kind of old really quick. And that's my problem with Nintendo, it's just same old, same old. And it's just so extremely casual, and it's just like, here, have yet another Mario game, here, have yet another Zelda game, here, have yet another, I don't know. And since I haven't ever gotten into games like, let's say, Star Fox, Metroid, or all that stuff, it's just like, there was literally, as always, unfortunately, nothing for me to get here. And even though they showed all this stuff, I'm just like, I'm still not tempted to buy a Wii U or even just, anything. And it's just kind of too bad. They're not really tempting me to, because it's just like, yeah, this kind of happened, which is, it's just sad. I agree that they did, well, I don't like to compare to other companies because I'd rather compare to how they did last year. But if I would have to compare to the other companies, they did nice with like, okay, here's a trailer and we also talk about it, like for Yoshi's game, where they, kind of gave a bit of what went into it and they showed a bit of gameplay, and that was nice. So if I would have to compare to the others, that was good. But in terms of games, or getting me excited, or getting me even involved, no, just no. And it's so sad, because it's like, I feel like I'm this Nintendo hater or something. I'm not trying to be, or I'm not. It's not like I'm biased against Nintendo in a bad way or something. It's just that they just don't have anything to like keep me on my toes, or where I'm like, dude, take my money,
I think that's a very fair point.
It's too bad. It's too bad.
It's not bad to have a preference. Unlike the other internet trolls out there, we're not going to tell everybody that you need to only like Nintendo and hate the other two guys. Or if Sega were to ever come back, the other three. Oh, well, I'm talking about Sony, Microsoft when I say Or if Sega were to come out with a console, the Dreamcast 2, not going to say hate on Sega, Yeah. But they'll never do that. So
it's just sad, because back in the I'm gonna sound old now. Back in the 90s, they brought out that Nintendo the Game Boy camera, and they put those Pokemon on there. And back then, you didn't know what that was really. And I saw those, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so cool! What is this?" I was so excited. And then they brought out the Pokemon game the first time back then, and it was cool. It was like the coolest thing ever, and I was so happy. It's like, yeah, let's play this, let's do this. And I leveled up all the Pokemon to level 100, each single one of them, even each pre-evolution. Yeah, that was a lot of work. And that was exciting and great. After that, a long time, nothing. Then the Wii Fit or the balance board thing, and then nothing anymore. And I'm just like, dude, Nintendo, what the hell? Stop playing it so safe. Stop just, putting all your eggs in one basket, being Mario mostly, and maybe some Zelda, and maybe some Kirby. They're cool characters, they're cute and, all that, but, gosh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. They're a little late to the party.
Yeah.
They're about 2 years late, but...
It just goes to show you that Nintendo is no longer the undisputed king of gaming. They used to be.
Yeah.
They used to be, but now it's a pretty even playing field.
Yeah.
Sony and Microsoft have been doing a kick-ass job of providing Nintendo with competition, and they've endured. Unlike Sega, for example, which is now purely a game developer.
Yeah.
Remember when the Xbox came out?
Oh yeah, I still remember that moment.
That
I was
PS2.
laughing.
Lol.
Honestly, this is a very great segue, and also kind of the end of the podcast. But really, I mean, all of that was just explained just now is why I really can't even pick a winner this year. I mean, I've thought about this for a very long time. The last week since E3 started, I can't pick a winner. I can't, because not only did every system really introduce something that I liked, I still feel like the competition is still wide open. It literally comes down to just personal preference now, where it's Kitty who isn't impressed by Nintendo's approach at all, against Tommy, who's like really, really loving all of this Nintendo stuff. But like, I mean, that's just the way it is, because I just can't pick a winner. Like, it just seems like everybody got a straight B, like, just in my books for all the conferences. Like, that's
a good
that's
way
the
of
way
putting it.
that's the way it feels to me. Like, it's just like, I think Nintendo had the best model of what all companies should do for E3 from now on, but even they have to follow it. They didn't exactly follow their own model extremely well, so it's just like every single company has something they have to work on. This is the first straight line, I feel, in the console wars in a very long time. That's just me, anyway.
No, I agree with you. I think the playing field is more level now than ever before, especially now that Nintendo has joined the HD generation. Now their console can compete in terms of graphics and gameplay. So
1080p 60 frames.
Yeah.
They can do what the others can now, at least hardware rise.
Now it's no longer a matter of whose hardware is better. It's more of a matter of whose games are better.
Well, or what game preference do you have? More casual, more shooter, or more mixed blood gore stuff?
That too.
I just totally made a stereotype out of every company.
No, there's nothing wrong with that, Kitty. And in fact, preference is important to win the gaming war. The more preferences, the more different preferences you can cater to, the more people you'll have playing your console.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, those are my overall thoughts of everything.
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys want to like put your thoughts into that too. You don't have to grade them. Honestly, I didn't even want to grade them. It just kind of that's just the best explanation I had. It just they all dead even for me. It's like that's it. That's my piece. That's my overall piece, and that's all I really have to say for this E3.
Wow. Well, I mean, I already stated that I think Nintendo, as a whole, did better just strictly because they focused on gameplay. Where everyone, I mean, all three said it's all about the games this year, and they all did focus on games. Nintendo just had more content to show, and they showed it over the 3 days, and the other two didn't show as much. But I do see where you're coming from, Slim, where, I mean, all of them, they didn't have the characteristic screw-ups like they did in years past, where you have the awkward little kids coming up to play a weird game and cheesy dialogue between the two, the weird high fives. And then you have the lady for PlayStation Move waving the wand and always making a 4 instead of doing the right spell for the Harry Potter's like the spell book thing.
Yeah.
Or having that's always think having Cammy do the Shaun White snowboarding with Shaun White.
Oh God.
And doing not such a good job on that. So I mean, this year they at least avoided looking like doofuses.
Yeah,
on stage.
All of them did.
So I can see where that even balance is between the three. Obviously, I'm a Nintendo. I'm more of a Nintendo fan than the other two, so I'm obviously gonna root for them. But I mean, there's still games on the other two consoles that I would love to play. So they all at least had something for me.
And I'm pretty much the same as Tommy, except that I'm a hybrid of a Nintendo and a Sony fanboy. I've always been in Nintendo and Sony's corner equally, and never in Microsoft's. Even though I have to admit, Microsoft does have cool games on their Xbox 360 and on their Xbox One.
Okay.
There's honestly nothing too great for me. It's like, Ubi, I dig your, or like always, I dig your entertainment value with, you know, live music and all the other crap, and Aisha, EA, well, EA and Ubi, and Nintendo. I dig that you showed some gameplay. Microsoft, good effort, very nice. Sony, gosh darn it, do it like last year, but you know, other than that, yeah, it's good. I don't grade. I just, you know, either I liked the games or I didn't. They all that really have professional presentations. Just that some should have showed a bit more gameplay as opposed to just trailer. They almost were a bit too professional, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, here, let's stick to the facts, or you know, or I don't know. But yeah, good effort, good time. Great.
I mean, there's also an audience shift too with E3, because I think it's closed to the public now, isn't it? It's been for a little while.
Yeah.
So it's mainly press that ends up being in the audience. So, or other developers that they're trying to win over to make games for them.
Well, that's why it would be nice to do what Nintendo does, though. You know.
Nintendo did. I mean, they did theirs completely online. They didn't have to cater to a specific audience during their press conference. Yeah. They strictly, it was streamed strictly to anybody that would watch, and that would mostly be the people playing their games. So I don't know. I mean, gamers are gonna watch the streams of the press conferences too, but having a live audience versus having a completely online audience, a little different.
Yeah, that's one thing I find kind of a little bit douchey from Nintendo's side. That, you know, they're just sending in that video almost, and everybody else makes the effort to actually show up there. Because you can, like, when you do it like the way Nintendo does, you can, like, edit, you can take your time, you can retake, like, do retakes and all that stuff. It's a bit douchey. It's very time efficient and stuff, and very safe, which is the overtitle for Nintendo almost. But I don't know. It's like, you know what? At this point, why not have all the others do it the same way? Just here, send in an online video. It's too bad in a way that they're kind of making themselves outcasts like that almost.
It could have unfortunately turned out that way, though. You may see the other two.
Yeah, they should. At this point, they should just do that. Honestly.
I agree.
Because I mean, we're talking about trailers for Microsoft and Sony. They could have easily done what Nintendo did, because they mostly just showed trailers. They had people coming on stage to briefly describe in a couple sentences what the game's about, and then you saw a trailer.
At this point, they should just do it. You know, I think if they would do that, people would perceive them as way more professional and better too, because you can edit and, you know, make retakes and all that stuff. Anyways, cool. Let's just do it like that. Let's not have an E3 anymore. Let's just, here you go.
Today when we recorded this was also the Smash event at Best Buy, and a lot of people there were actually saying the same kind of thing. It's like, you know, Nintendo didn't need to win the conference because they did it in a much different way, and it's probably the way that should be the norm anyway. So
might as well, right?
Yeah, really.
If you're going to remove the gaming public from the live audience atmosphere of E3 for those press conferences, you might as well, because the people in the press can just watch the stream like everybody else.
Yeah, really. It's easier to take notes too. They can just pause it and, you know, whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. It's too bad. It's, again, this is more stuff that's not sitting well with me from the side of Nintendo, but gosh darn it. I really want to like you, Nintendo.
Well, I do want to say... Oh, sorry.
Go.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I do want to say one thing about Nintendo. They've been an outcast ever since the GameCube. Seriously.
Yeah.
Nintendo has always been wanting to do things completely differently from Sony and Microsoft, and they're continuing to do that. It's all Nintendo's way or the highway, and it's probably going to continue that way for the foreseeable future. Nintendo does not like playing by anybody's rules but its own, for better or for worse. There's certainly good points to it and bad points to it. And quite frankly, it's growing to a point where it's getting kind of on the bad side these days.
Yep.
I'm getting a little tired of Nintendo's stubbornness, even though they still have undeniable talent.
Thank you.
Remember, like, I made a comment earlier in the podcast, but it was mentioned by someone, a senior in Nintendo, that the reason they aren't providing Twitch TV app support on the Wii U is because it's boring to watch.
Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah, it's a bunch of baloney. They're out of touch with a lot of things.
Exactly. That just furthers my point.
So, and it, you would hate me because I made a I think I made a Twitter comment during E3 that I felt like not the N64, but that the GameCube was Nintendo's golden age of games, rather than N64.
Yeah.
That would be a very unpopular opinion.
I don't know.
Well,
because you have
had a lot of good games.
Yeah.
It did, but I mean the N64. It had Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, GoldenEye, Conquer. I mean, it had Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. It had a lot of those titles that you just, if you're a gamer, you know. But I mean, I definitely think taking the step from cartridge to the disc gaming opened up a lot more opportunities for Nintendo. I don't know. My opinion.
And it's not a bad opinion. GameCube had so many good games. In fact, I would be so bold in saying that I liked the GameCube's library more than the N64's library overall.
Thank you, Nima.
Yep, I do too.
Same.
I love the 64, but I can kind of see where that stems from. I can kind of agree with that.
Cool.
And that's not to say the N64 lacked great games, because it had great games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Who could forget Glover?
Have a lot of them.
No one mentions Glover.
Oh god.
Who could forget
Glover
Harvest
is a
Moon?
classic.
Oh god.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, is that going to be it for E3?
I think so.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Hashtag Nintendo, I really want to like you. Please. God damn it.
I have a call to action for anyone from Nintendo that could potentially watch this.
Yeah.
You have a lot of games in the past that you missed out on such great opportunities, but you also have games now that you need to take full advantage of. You got the biggest one, I think, being Splatoon. Right now, if you're going to make new IP, you need to get on the ball and understand what your audience wants in a game and make it happen for them. That's all you really need. You need solid gameplay that people are going to enjoy. Focus on that. Keep focusing on that. Deliver it, and you'll be fine. If you don't deliver on it, and like Slim said, we're just going to continually be disappointed, and you're going to lose an audience.
Yeah. P.S. Bring back the magic.
Also, I've got something to say to anyone from Sony who might be listening.
Oh.
Alright, Sony. You've been my boys. You've been my boys since the PS1 era. You enchanted me with Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, and more. Here's what I want you to do now. You got an intense third-party library. You've always been good in that regard. But you gotta re-secure some exclusives again. Metal Gear is jumping on Xbox.
Ew.
Final Fantasy is jumping on Nintendo.
Ew.
Bayonetta
And
2.
Kingdom Hearts is going to Xbox.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts has been jumping ship too, man.
God damn it.
Seriously, Sony, you gotta re-secure some exclusives. Little Big Planet and Uncharted have been doing wonders for you, so you keep that up. You gotta always keep some exclusives in your back pocket.
Or, you could try to get Halo on PlayStation 4.
Oh, shit, no.
That would be revenge. That would be some deadly revenge. Shots fired.
Too bad that won't happen. It's exclusive
Yeah, it
to the
won't.
first party.
Oh, also, Ubisoft, less rabbits.
Less Aisha Tyler.
No, more.
And I guess my open note for game developers watching: High Res Studios, can I have a job?
High-Res
Have-
Studios, I need a panel.
SlimKirby and Dry Bear co-casting.
Oh
That would
god.
that would make my day.
Oh,
I would
God.
watch.
The Slim Bear.
Slim Bear.
Dry
Okay.
Kirby. Alright.
Oh no. Okay, I'm out of here. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Alright, guys. Hope you all had fun watching this very detailed E3 coverage. And if you have comments, leave them. Don't hate on us, though. I'm gonna murder you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna duel you on Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay.
we only talk for 8 hours. That's
Do
it.
kids
You know,
still do
so-
that these days? I'm sounding old now. Okay, alright. Let's do this. Alright, anything else to say?
Bye-bye.
Any last words? Okay. No?
It's
Bye-bye.
time to duel.
Alright. Anyway, so the guys are going nuts here. So hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next year or previously with some other topics, maybe? Question mark?
Ooh,
Oh,
Guess. Spoilers, maybe.
my body is ready.
Mine too.
okay.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Adios.